Hello and welcome to Tête à Tête, France 24's flagship interview program. We're in New York on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. And our guest today is the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Iraq, Fuad Hussein. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to begin with a recent drone attack in the semi-autonomous region of Kurdistan. The Iraqi government has accused Turkey of carrying out this attack, which killed at least 3 members of an anti-terrorist unit. Can you tell us more about this attack and what it means?
Thank you very much once again. And while we were here, actually, in New York, I mean, the Prime Minister and myself, we received some information about this attack. In the first place, we didn't know what happened. There were some investigation. At the end, we have been informed that it was an attack by drones, and I think 6 people has been killed. 3 of them, they are Iraqis. So, and the president of the country gave a statement. Of course, this is not acceptable. This is a violation of the sovereignty of the country. And we are going to have discussion with the Turkish side. I am planning to meet the Turkish Foreign Minister here, and we are going to discuss this matter because this is really not acceptable. I understand that they are saying that there are activities of PKK, but this attack led to killing of Iraqi people, and then they are Iraqis. So we will discuss this matter with the Turkish side.
Mr. Hussein, the Turks seem to indicate that they knew exactly what they were doing. They say they were striking PKK and those who helped them in Kurdistan. So it seems they did this on purpose.
This is the Turkish version. I must get the right information about this. But anyhow, there are PKK activities in Iraqi Kurdistan. That's a fact. And that creates huge problem for, in the first place, for Iraqi Kurdistan, but in the second place for Iraq in general, but also create huge problems for the relationship between Iraq and Turkey. The Iraqi constitution is clear, which says that any organization which is functioning on Iraqi soil is not allowed to attack any neighboring countries. They must not use or misuse their existence in Iraq to attack one of the neighboring countries. So right. It is our duty also to make it clear for PKK activities this is not acceptable.
But is it okay for Turkey to strike as it wants inside?
We have got 2 issues. One which has to do with our constitution and PKK. So this issue must be solved. The other one has to do with the international law and the sovereignty of the Iraqi state. So we
Turkey respects that?
We hope that other countries, including Turkey, must respect the sovereignty of Iraq, and this is a violation, as I said, of the sovereignty of the country.
Right. I mentioned Turkey. Let's turn to Iran. This September 19th was the deadline day for an agreement between Iran and the Iraqi government when Iraq would disarm those deemed as terrorist groups by Iran at the border or also in the Kurdish areas. Is this happening? Are you confident that this agreement will stick?
A few days ago, I was in Tehran discussing the security agreement between the Iraqi federal government, Iraqi regional government included, with the Iranian side. And from our side, we told them we are committed to this agreement, and we implemented actually the agreement. That means that those members of these groups. They were in the mountain, remote areas on the border with Iran. And we asked them to leave these areas, and they left, and now they are staying. Now they are staying in 5 refugee camps far away from the border. And in my discussion with the president of the country, of Iranian Islamic Republic, and with the foreign minister and other officials, I told them, you can send some observers to see yourself that those people has been removed from the border area, and now they are staying in refugee camps. And I think we convinced the Iranian side that we were really committed to the agreement, and we did our job. And at the same time, I asked the Iranian not to threaten Iraq and not to threaten Iraqi Kurdistan and not to plan to attack Iraqi Kurdistan. I hope that as we were and we are committed to the agreement, they will be committed to this agreement.
Did President Raisi, the foreign minister, give you guarantees that they would stop striking Iraq, because they have been doing so?
I met the Iranian foreign minister last night here in New York, and I have the feeling that they are not going to strike Iraqi Kurdistan, and I have the feeling that they will be too committed to the agreement.
Right, because now basically what you're saying is that they don't have any more reason to do so.
That's correct.
Right. Speaking of Iran, there was a U.S.-Iran prisoner swap, despite very bad relations between Tehran and Washington. Do you think that this is just a one-shot, or do you think that this could help revive, for example, the nuclear talks, which are going nowhere? Is it your sense, because you've been involved with both sides, if I can say so?
Anyhow, we are happy that this deal happened. Both sides were busy with discussion about this deal for a long time, actually. And I think this will lead to less tension between Tehran and Washington. And my hope is that the discussion and negotiation will continue so that they can solve other problems.
So you're optimistic that this could lead to a better atmosphere?
I am realistic and optimistic at the same time.
Right. We spoke about the Kurdistan region. There is clearly a crisis there. The Prime Minister, Masroor Barzani, wrote to the US President Biden saying, Mr. President, we're nearing collapse. We don't have money because there is an ongoing disagreement with the federal government over the oil exports to Turkey. Is this really so bad? And how can you repair the relationship once and for all between the federal government and the Kurdistan regional government?
First of all, I'm not aware of that letter which has been mentioned. Of course, I read it, but in the media. But I didn't hear that from His Excellency, the Prime Minister of KRG. As for the relationship between Kurdistan regional government and the federal government in Baghdad, I think now there were some damages, but now it has been repaired. And I hope the talks, yes, I hope the talks will continue between both sides so that we can solve many, many issues between the Kurdistan regional government and the Iraqi government.
I mean, what I understand is that the federal government gave some money so salaries could be paid. However, there was an agreement back in April for the export of oil to Turkey, but it's not being implemented. And this has been an ongoing saga for years and years. Agreements, nothing happens. Why would it be different this time?
No, export the oil from Iraqi Kurdistan through Turkey has to do with the pipeline.
Right.
And as you know, there were some issues between Iraqi oil ministry and Turkish side about the export of the oil from Iraqi Kurdistan. This goes back to 2012. And the arbitration, which has to do with the claim of the Iraqi side against Turkey, it has been decided that that Turkey must pay an amount of money to the Iraqi side. As a result, Turkey decided to close the pipeline. So the issue of exporting oil has to do with the pipeline. When the pipeline will be open, when the pipeline will be, the export will be allowed, then Iraqi Kurdistan government can export the oil.
Right. Are you optimistic that the pipeline will soon be reopened?
I didn't say I'm optimistic. I say we are going to discuss that with the Turkish side. We were in discussion, but we will continue our talks with the Turkish side so that we can reach an agreement about that.
Right. So you don't fear the collapse of the federal system in Iraq, because this is what Prime Minister Barzani warned against?
I don't think so, because the federal system has to do with total Iraq and has to do with the constitution. And I think now the Kurds, they had the same position. They came together to Baghdad and they negotiated with the Prime Minister and with other officials in Baghdad. And I think this unity will strengthen the Kurdish position.
Right. Last question, I want to ask you about this talk about the Saudi rapprochement with Israel. We know several Arab states have established diplomatic relations with Israel, UAE, Bahrain, and there's talk that there are some negotiations behind closed doors between the Saudis and the Israelis through the US. Do you view this favorably, or do you think this is not the right time, especially with such a government in Israel?
Of course, this is their case. It is Saudi's decision and other countries' decision. But as for Iraq, we are following the situation of the Palestinian people. And we see that the normalization, so-called normalization with Israel, led to more oppression of the Palestinian people.
So it was a mistake?
No, I'm not saying that, but this is their own business. It is their own policy. But I'm talking about the real situation of the Palestinian people. And as the Iraqi government, we are very much in solidarity with Palestinian people.
So this is out of the question for Iraq? Normalizing relations?
No, according to Iraqi law, is not allowed. There is a law in Iraq.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Fuad Hussein, Deputy Prime Minister of Iraq and Foreign Minister of Iraq, for answering our questions. Thank you for watching this show.
Thank you.